Oh my god, my mics are not working. Yours are. You're fine.
No,
there we go.
good.
I'm working. Cool.
I was about to say, do you need me to introduce us?
No, I got it. I got it. It's all fine. Everyone's fine. We're all okay over here. How's everyone doing? Welcome back to Couch for It. We're now between seasons of whatever we're doing because Lost in Space is done. Thank God. Sort of.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
After tonight, it's
I mean,
done.
I saw like one episode. It was pretty good.
You saw the good episode.
Oh boy, I wouldn't have called it that one either, but
I
yeah.
timed it.
Okay, he saw an okay episode. Anyway, I am Drew Tillman, and that's how you all know me because I'm on camera, and I'm joined by my ever-present co-host.
Hey, I'm Valonda. And you may notice that we have someone sitting between us on the couch today.
Yes.
He's the oh crap, this couple isn't talking anymore. Let's stick someone unawkward in between them.
Hey, I'm Bucky, and I decided to be nice, and I regret it.
Yes, you
Don't
did.
lie. You don't
conned
regret
him.
this. You.
I regret. All right, Drew, we were friends.
Oh, now we're not friends.
We were friends, and I was being nice.
All right.
You betrayed that friendship.
Okay, this is not
So
okay,
hard.
I've shown you
Well,
worse
technically,
videos.
this is
I
the second
don't even
time
wanna
you've
hear
done that,
this.
but this is the second time you've actually betrayed that
I've
friendship.
shown you worse.
First was Holy Mountain.
Oh boy, apparently I still have that to look forward
Yes, you
to.
do.
Oh, God,
Don't worry.
no.
Yes, we do.
You're gonna enjoy every second of it, Milana. Don't listen to Bucky.
This may end the podcast from I trust Bucky.
No, don't
Oh.
trust Bucky. He's wrong
bad.
about Holy Mountain. It's an amazing movie.
Bad.
But we're actually here to review Lost in Space,
Yes.
the 1998 movie, which we all watched together last
We
night
did.
through the powers of technology.
Yeah, we did.
Oh boy.
So who would
Oh,
like
boy.
to describe the opening of this movie?
Oh, we have to do first impressions.
No, I
man.
don't even want to do first impressions.
Why not?
Because I need the opening of this movie to be described before initial impressions.
I don't even need to give you first impressions. I could just give you impressions.
And the reason why I want the movie described first is so everyone can understand the first thing that pops in your head when you see this. Because they have a
Didn't this-
word picture of it.
Didn't they actually have an intro?
I don't believe they may have. Who fucking knows? I'm talking about that first scene though, because it sets the
Okay.
tone for everything.
Oh boy.
So just paint a word
right,
picture of it.
there's a big. I believe we're in space.
We'll go with
Good,
believe
right, I'm on
we're
good
in
stuff.
space.
yeah.
I
Wait,
believe.
no, aren't we on Earth? Oh no, we are in space.
No, that's afterwards. We are in space, and what we see Matt LeBlanc, or Matt LeBlanc as we're going to call him for obvious reasons.
Joey.
Him and a bunch of other guys in basically what amounts to fish bowls with something stuck on the back of them to make them fly through space,
Mhm.
having a battle with other things that look like they're built far more wisely than are basically fish bowls in space.
By the way, at some point in this movie, they talk about the fish bowls that Matt LeBlanc and his buddy pilot, and say they are multi-million-dollar crafts. In which case, sorry, you got ripped off. These are terrible.
They were pretty fucking bad, yeah.
Yeah, so we have like this big, I think their big mothership. I lost the name of it. I'm going to
it's
go
not a
on a limb.
It's Hypergate.
Oh boy, yeah. I was so blown away by the effects. They had I have to say, like, shout out to the really random ass effect that happens on Matt LeBlanc's eyes when he's
Oh
targeting.
yeah, he had
something.
like the fucking crosshair things that like twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the from Resident. I want to say Resident Evil. It's probably not the thing. Yeah, probably Resident Evil, where they have like the weird umbrella thing going in their eyes.
Yeah, that's
It reminded me so much of that, but different colors.
Yes.
And it was like random shout because that's so random and utterly pointless.
But
I love it.
Here's the other
Yep.
thing. That's probably the best VFX in this whole movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was
Yeah.
the only part where you're like,
Because-
oh, okay, that's cool.
Let me quickly describe for you. Every CG thing in this movie looks like that sweet 1990s CG where everything looks like it's made of clay that is wet and also spray painted at the same time.
Yep.
Like imagine if you
Yep.
made a clay figure, dunked it in water, and while it was still wet, spray painted it. Because
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
what it all looks like. It's awful
Yeah.
and just stop.
It's
Yeah.
bad. It's real bad.
I think back then special effects were great for small things.
For small things,
like
yes.
for
Yes.
This movie was
Yes.
probably I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say 70 to 85% green screen.
oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The 90s were great at animating things that didn't have to move or be
Yeah,
alive.
and I'm calling
That's
green
about
screen
it.
because everything has that flat texture that you get with old green screen effects, where because they haven't figured out how to like make it.
Yeah. They didn't figure out how to make it like textured or deep.
Yes, and it looks like it's right up on top of everybody. Okay,
Yeah.
so now that we've described that, now tell me.
No, trashed all the VFX. Now you know what we're going into.
now-
The singular good effect we
First
had.
Now you're
impressions.
prepared.
Valanda, what was your first impression? What's your initial
My
idea?
first impression was, and I'm pretty sure they had an opening sequence because I think I was blown away by it.
No, they definitely had a closing sequence because
Oh my god, we will definitely get to that when we get further down the line.
Opening sequence, but
I thought the space battle was interesting, but yeah. Overall, first impressions of this film were holy shit! I actually miss Lost in Space the series. Or, I don't miss the plot of the series. The plot was terrible. I missed the dialogue. I missed the acting. I don't miss the boy, but I do miss Don more than anything in this world.
yeah, Don.
This movie was definitely something else. It's not a good something completely different. It was oh boy, I just sat and watched Out of Dead with you guys of this movie.
You're saying a lot of very polite things about this movie.
I think the ending of this movie, the closing credits, I think were the absolute highlight for all of us.
Quick aside, Undead Band, if you want 100% green screen, go and watch Kung Fury. It's 100% green screen, and it is a good movie. Well,
that is a gift.
It's a fun movie.
Yes, it is. Like Kung Fury, I think it's a Kickstarter, right?
It was a Kickstarter, yeah.
And now they're making a second one that's a feature-length movie.
That's right.
No way.
Anyway,
okay.
Bucky, what was your first impression of this movie?
Okay, so I want you to envision this. Title screen. Me. Fuck. Of course, this Drew wanted me to sit down and watch this movie.
To be fair, to be entirely
Fucking
fair.
And you also put quietly agreed to by Valanda.
Yeah.
Okay, to be fair, last time I saw this movie was in 1990, and I remember it being okay. Granted, it was 1998, and I was 11?
Young. We were younger.
Yeah. So I remember it being better than it was. I remember so much of that movie, by the way, because of my weird memory, but I remember a lot of it.
We started this movie with, I don't remember this.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right, we did.
No, hold on.
I don't remember any of this. Did I actually see this movie?
I did not remember the space battle at the beginning. So much of that stuff towards the end, I was like, oh yeah, I remember all this. I know where it's going. I know what all this is. That space battle at the beginning, I didn't remember a fucking second of.
Alright, so this space battle at the beginning, yeah, they have it's like glass balls and they shoot things, and there's like there is like the cheesiest dialogue between Matt LeBlanc, who I have to say is playing Don West, and I'm like, oh, now I get the reference. He's playing Don West, and his mate Jeb, who is also in one of these like goldfish bowl things, and like
I believe Jeb is in a blue goldfish bowl, and Matt LeBlanc is in a red goldfish bowl.
I think so. I don't really know why they bothered painting them, but they did. And his mate Jeb gets in trouble, and
you gotta paint your fighter pilot.
You have to paint your things. I say the jets, not the fighters, because the pilots themselves would not do well.
Imagine the scene, but imagine Matt LeBlanc painted like just an outstanding purple color.
That'd probably be better.
Yeah. Right. Probably the best visual effects.
Yeah, see, there you go.
So Matt LeBlanc is saving his mate Jeb, because his mate Jeb gets shot, and then he jettisons the only thing on this goldfish bowl, which is his engine.
I think it's his engine, so that somebody following hundreds of yards behind him in space runs into it. Why did you run into it? What? Just go any direction and you'd be fine. Instead, whatever. I have one very important note about this. Two fighters come up to attack the hypergate, which, by the way, the hypergate is the size of a small city. So two jets come up to fight it, and they send out two of their own fighter jets. If this is a super important thing, why is the hypergate not just boiling with fucking these little like fishbowl things and random pilots?
I thought they did.
No,
I thought there were loads of them.
It's only Matt LeBlanc and Jeb fighting off two other mutants or whatever they called them. They had a weird name for them. No one
I
else.
have no clue.
The only other thing we saw
Okay.
is when Jeb was after he jettisoned his engine, they sent rescue pods after him. That was
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. So Matt, like during this fight, they shoot the bad guys, and Matt LeBlanc gets told not to go rescue his mate, who's basically just in a fishbowl, and he's like, "No, my mate is just in a fishbowl.
I have to
This
save
is
him."
stupid." Yeah, I had to go save him. So against direct orders, he goes to save his mate.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the opening.
That's pretty much it because
Yeah,
then it cuts.
they go to Earth.
Yeah, they go to Earth because it cuts wonderful
Yep.
CG scrolling thing, flying
Mm-hmm.
cars, a really flat house that we see the inside of, and it's the Robinsons' house. As people
Hey.
are packing up the Robinsons' house, and Maureen is struggling to control two children, one of whom is a angsty 16-year-old in a way too short miniskirt, and
Yep.
one of them is an
Oh,
angsty
my
11-year-old boy.
Which we found out later on that little girl was from Mean Girls, the brunette from Mean Girls. We found out that she was her as a child, and it got weird because she sounded like a mouse at all times.
She did. It was a very weird thing.
Oh, is that what she did?
Yeah, she
Oh,
was in Mean Girls.
She was in Mean Girls.
Wow, wowzers. Yeah, we need to talk about the kids in this scene just for a minute, right? We have Will the boy, and we have to give huge props because I think it's the only, apart from one character later on, and you guys, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. The one character at this point, you think, holy shit, this kid can act. Like, he was genuinely good.
Yeah.
And he,
useful.
And useful.
yeah,
Because unlike the TV show, Will in this one is a computer genius. Like a legit, robotics genius.
robotics, yeah.
Because we see him in this scene hiding in a closet and hacking a hollow call from his principal.
Oh, that was
a
actually
good
pretty
one.
fucking funny.
It was pretty awesome. So the idea being that Maureen gets called by the principal of Will's school to say he's taken down the power grid in the school. You need to teach your son not to do this. Yada, yada, yada. And Will is there literally fucking around with a hologram, turning her body into all sorts of weird shit. It is honestly
It's
amazing.
good. We see
Yeah, it was really funny.
we see this old lady's head on Rambo. We see this old
Yeah.
lady's head on a bikini like model, which then turns into a gorilla,
Yep.
also
Yep.
wearing a bikini.
Yep.
It's so good. It's so good. And immediately from that point, I'm like, this kid is not useless. I like this kid way more already. Let's pick him up and put him in the series.
He doesn't just
There's
wander
your first
around.
impression. You just have the first impression of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
Just the kid.
this kid
Yeah.
doesn't wander around and just cry about everything.
No.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with that character trait, but considering Will is honestly one of the biggest main characters, because the main characters are the Robinsons, but Will is in the original show and this and the new series, Will is kind of one of the more focused main characters. His story arc was trash in the series.
Yeah, it was like, just terrible. But yeah, so he does immediately just think, wow, this kid is way better. We'll keep this one. And now we have to talk about the other one. Penny. Holy crap. First, we need to deal with her wardrobe. I felt super uncomfortable.
Oh my
wardrobe was
god!
like-
I was put on some watch list as soon as I turned this movie on.
Her wardrobe
Yeah.
looked like
It's not okay.
the person who designed it watched Fifth Element like 2 minutes before and then just cobbled together the closest approximation they could to an outfit in Fifth Element.
And put it
Yeah.
on like a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, it was creepy and uncomfortable. It was
Yeah,
awful.
like it was so short. I don't know if there were shorts or a miniskirt, but I was like, oh boy.
Pretty sure she was wearing a
kind of like,
miniskirt in the first
I
scene.
need to
Yeah.
turn away just so that I think it's just in this one scene that she just comes
Yeah,
like,
no.
I need to not look at this
Because
because
the rest of the time she's wearing either that way 90s cryo suit, because that's something you also only see in 90s movies.
Yep.
Yep.
Or my personal favorite, really tight like sweater tops underneath weird giant baggy overalls.
Yep.
Yeah, they're kind of like dungarees, but with shorts, like shorts rather than long-legged dungarees.
Well, I mean, the reason she was wearing that though was because she was trying to sneak out because it was their last day on Earth because they were going to be going into space.
That's right. The Jupiter
Yeah.
2 launches the next day. They had to move up
Of
the
course.
timetable because of the mutant. I don't know. Somebody.
I was trying to write notes at the beginning of this movie, and then I think the space battle happened, and I went, Oh boy,
Never mind.
I don't have enough room.
No, no, just there's no point of
So I
notes in
did-
this.
So I lost the name of the enemy that they were fighting, who
It's
was
like
apparently
the
very important.
separatists or the mutants. I mean, they don't really play a huge role after they're off
They
planet.
don't know.
Something.
I think that's why I forgot them.
Yeah, because once they're off the planet, they have so many other things to deal with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sedition.
But she is.
They're the seditionists.
Seditionists, that was it.
That's what we'll call them. If they're not, then that's what we're going to call them.
I'm pretty sure they are because Matt LeBlanc calls something that one of the other characters has seditionist technology.
Ah, yes, you're right. Yes, I remember that now. Okay, cool. We'll go with that with absolute certainty of
No one out here is going to watch this movie, okay? It's fine.
please don't.
Everybody's going to watch this movie.
But she is legitimately like the most emo kid of I am being kidnapped, I am being taken into slavery, I have to go do this because of my family, boo hoo hoo.
Oh, yeah.
It's that awkward teenage moment, which I think they've all given over to Victor in the series.
I think so, because Penny just, in the series, she's just like, yeah, okay, I'm here.
Yeah, she's a go-getter, just gets up and gets on with it.
I think she was supposed to be very similar to the one in this movie, but they dropped that so quickly you never caught it. Because the first flashback she has, she's texting constantly, and then when they land, she grabs her phone, and Judy's like, what are you going to do with that? You were a billion miles away from anything that's going to use it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have interesting phrasing on the women in this show, but we'll get there when we get there.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Oh boy. Yeah. So once they have this little tete-a-tete at home and the girl sneaks out and the boy does the thing with the robots, and Maureen's like, oh yeah, I wish that you would stop doing this, Will, please stop doing this. We then cut to, I think, a press conference, right?
It's a press conference with the dad and some random military officials.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's basically saying someone got sick and had the flu, so we have a new pilot and we're moving up the schedule. We're going to take a hypergate from here. We're going to go to sleep for 10 years and go find the next place, set up the gate, and by then they should have finished building the gate here.
Yes. I want to point out the gate on Earth, best scale I can figure, is the size of a small town, basically.
Yeah.
So they're constructing very rapidly, probably using a lot of space constructioners.
Yeah. It's all that space stuff.
Yeah. But now here's a question that I don't know if either of you thought about. How the fuck were the Robinsons going to build a hypergate at the other end?
I think this is my theory. I think they're supposed to be taking the hypergate they've just finished building with them.
They haven't finished the hypergate. The only hypergate we see is a section of what will be a round piece.
Oh. See, I thought they were supposed to be taking a gate with them because there's no way that they'd be able to build a gate there with just the 5 of them, one pilot.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't think that
Now,
through too
hold
well,
on.
did they?
This may be a case of stuff we don't see behind the scenes. There may be other people there, or robot construction crews, or something, but they don't mention it in the slightest. They're just like, yeah, we're going to build a hypergate 1 billion miles away, 100 billion miles away from Earth or whatever.
All right, my underlying principle and thesis of why they did this is completely blown. I have no idea. I don't know. I thought they were taking the gate with them, and then they'd have it set up. Basically, they just go, oh, give it a good kick. It starts, and then the other gate on the other end will respond.
Nope.
I thought that's what they were. Oh, boy.
Right?
Yeah, that's a big old plot
Also,
hole.
where are they?
Ooh.
Here's another thing. Where are they going? Where do you guys think they're going? If they're going to travel for 10 years, they're definitely not going anywhere near light speed. Where are they going?
And they're supposed to use the hyperdrive.
No. They can't use the hyperdrive because in this press conference, someone asks, why don't you just use the hyperdrive that you built, Dr. Robinson, or Professor Robinson? And he goes, well, there's a lot of space, and the hyperdrive, you'll just end up anywhere if you don't have a gate.
Wait, what's the point that when they got to a place, they were then going to use the hyperdrive to get back,
No.
and they
You
then have a
to-
coordinate?
The hyperdrive still has to be activated.
I'm trying for this movie.
The hyperdrive still has to be activated with the gate. The gate just gives you a road to travel on.
Okay, no. Okay, all right. Okay,
It's a
massive
mess.
hole.
It's a huge mess.
Well, that is a mess.
Yeah.
Okay,
But it's not the focus
Boy.
of this movie, so I guess they just kind of breezed past it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's supposed to be a sci-fi movie. This is the reason that us nerdy sci-fi
listen,
people want to watch.
Lost-
We want to have good reasons.
The show was
Yeah, no.
supposed to be a sci-fi show.
Yeah, I mean, shit happens real fast in this, where it's just like, oh, here we're doing this whole thing, and then it just twists, and it's like, well, now this is an entirely different problem you have to fucking deal with. So have fun.
Now this is a survival action movie with very little. So you can't just add the words in space. I'm going to shout this to anyone who's writing any scripts. You cannot just add the words in space to anything and make go, oh, it will draw in the sci-fi nerds. No, we'll see it, we'll watch and we'll get pissed off there's no sci-fi. Please stop doing this. Don't add the words in space to make it sci-fi. It's not sci-fi.
You can. It's not going to do anything for you.
It's not going to be good.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no.
Vis-a-vis Lost in Space, the second series, add this.
Yes.
There it is.
So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because I'm going to breeze through some of this real fast because it's a boring setup. And the breeze through is the dad goes home and gets into a fight with his wife. He sees a time machine that Will has built, or a theoretical time machine that Will has built to win the science fair, which, by the way, terrible winning of the science fair because it doesn't work. It's just a theoretical time machine. And somebody went, that deserves first place. So they get into a fight. The mom tells him how he's not there for the kids. The dad's like, I'm doing this for the kids. We have to launch tomorrow. And then, I'm just going to jump. We're on the Jupiter now. We're on the Jupiter in my favorite term, launch dome.
Oh boy.
Yep.
All right, I would watch Abraham Lincoln in space. I would watch Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I would watch Abraham Lincoln in space.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it would be good. I would just watch it.
I just can't. So we do the launch dome thing, and we see like some dude inside a box.
Oh my god!
We see some dude inside a box.
We see our main antagonist in this movie.
You mean the best character in this movie?
We see Gary Oldman playing literally the same character from Fifth Element, just without a plastic head covering. It's the best.
So let me just give you this explanation of what they did for Gary Oldman. So Gary Oldman was handed a script on set. That script was filled with one-liners. And the only direction he was given was, all of the acting you've ever done, do it all at once. Do every acting you've ever done at the same time.
Gary Oldman throughout this movie has one-liners that don't really pertain to anything, but sound like he's quoting a play he was in at some point, just to get through the day.
Yeah, like, I think we had this discussion when we were moving it. Like, at one point, it felt like he was just dialing in his performance. Like, do you know what? I'm getting nothing back from anyone around me. This dialogue is terrible. I'm just going to deliver the line like a professional British stage actor that I am, and then I'm going to move on and get my paycheck. There was one scene in which I thought, holy shit, he's being good. He's being good.
There was one scene.
Yeah, no.
Singular scene, but the rest of it was, it was like one line is like, what fits this? Well, nothing. I'll randomly quote something from Macbeth. Yeah, fuck it, why not?
Sure. Yeah, he basically said that he was trying to be a poet, so as the antagonist, he was an Edgar Allan Poe.
I hate that, but yes.
I think we found the name for this episode.
I think so, because that's definitely I need to make a note of that. So,
yes, please.
Talk, please.
So good. So, we see Smith inside a box. This is how he sneaks into the top most secure thing that will potentially save humanity. Because as we find out, humanity has burnt through all our fossil fuels. Recycling has started too late. You know, the world take note of this. The only message worth taking note of in this film is recycle more. It's too late.
I'm on stream.
And, you know, he goes in there and he sabotages the robot, which we need to find a different name for, because holy fuck, it's not Spencer as we love and know.
No.
So he goes in there, he reprograms it, which starts off, I think, as saying like the first goal is to protect the Robinsons, and then he fucks with it, and then it says after 16 hours, destroy the Robinsons, destroy the systems, and he does that by attaching what looks like a really old school calculator to it.
Mm-hmm.
Taps a few buttons, and then he goes to hide. It tries to escape, leave the ship itself, but then he gets a call on his calculator from his boss, who is also English, also a villain, I might add, and I was very proud of my heritage there.
Of being a weird villain.
Yeah, we're villains. I get cast as villains all the time. Something about the accent, I guess. Who basically turns around and screws with Dr. Smith by making it overcharge or something.
He tries to
and
zap him with his calculator. Yeah.
Yeah. And this effectively knocks Smith out in one of these kind of like tubes or airways or passages or whatever the hell it is, these thing, and then you're like, oh no, he's dead, or oh no, he's unconscious.
Stuck on the ship, yeah.
And then he's on the ship, yeah.
And then the ship, which by the way, let me describe this ship for everybody. It doesn't look like a spaceship. They built a literal blocky flying saucer that then lifts off. It's like trying to launch a Pog. I don't know if anyone remembers Pogs, but it's like trying to launch one of those.
See if there's something in my room that resembles what that thing fucking looks like.
A bottle cap would work, man.
Basically.
It's real
it's
rough.
like this pin. It's basically just this pin.
Yeah, it resembles that, and it launches up.
Venture Maiden's pin.
Yes. It launches upwards, and then, best part, when it reaches orbit, it just explodes, and the Jupiter's inside of it. The Jupiter, which is actually aerodynamic.
Oh boy, yes.
Way easier time getting out of atmosphere.
Oh boy, they launch flat like a plate.
Yes.
And it's like, why are you? That's not done. That would never break through. Maybe it's because the ozone is now at 40%. It's easier to get out. Maybe it's because I can't honestly think of a half decent reason why you would launch like that. You wouldn't launch like that. It just wouldn't happen.
No.
It's just the worst idea ever. And then they explode. And you think, wow, that's a waste of material right there.
Wasn't it? Oh my god. No wonder Earth is fucked. You guys just wasted so much material.
Yeah, it was like a really thick, oh no, I don't know if you guys have them over there anymore. Kinder eggs, like the chocolate shell that's really thick on the outside, and the toy inside is fucking tiny.
I know what they are, but no, we don't have them. They're illegal here.
I know, it's weird. They're just toys inside chocolate.
There's so much commentary made about it. But
kids are dumb.
Yeah, but
they eat everything.
It comes in a plastic shell. You have to break open the toys in there. Why would you willingly swallow something you know contains a toy and is not tasty in any way and contains a lot of plastic parts? How dumb are you?
Listen, I'm not the one choking to death on a Kinder Egg. It's not me. So.
We made it. We're still alive, so.
Yeah, you guys have made it. You passed
I've done so many stupid things in my life, and I have died. So.
That's not one of them.
No.
That's not one of them. All right, good to know. Good to know. And then I think they do something. Something happens. I don't honestly know what. They put the Robinsons into cryostasis.
The Robinsons are wearing what is quite literally Batman and Robin George Clooney suits. Like I'm talking about.
Yes.
Defined chests and genitals, which is creepy. And they get into these cryo tubes, which then turns them into Borg, basically.
Oh my god, yeah. So they get into the cryo tubes, and these weird things strap their arms down. I'm like, oh boy, I'd be out there like 30 seconds flat. Fuck this. Right? And then like something crawls over their face, and it really did remind me of the bit at the end of Voyager, where they start like getting advanced Borg technology, where like the extra placing goes on. It really reminded me of that, just going over the faces and over the body. I'm like, oh boy, get that Borg technology out of my people, please.
Yeah, it looked like a snake at first. I was like, why is there snakes crawling on their face? And then it like fucking turns this like weird looking face mask. Yeah. I was like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very weird. Which, here's another thing. The Robinsons go to sleep before the pilot does, even though the pilot is also going to go to sleep. The medical the mission medical is not the last person to get in a cryo tube, which bothers me so much.
Yeah,
it really pissed me off. Like because at this point we find out, hey, there's Judy. Judy is a doctor in this. She's considered the doctor. She's turned into her father and is very absent from the family.
Wearing the worst jumpsuit she could possibly find.
Yeah, wearing a big red jumpsuit. Like she's a mechanic or a doctor. We're not really sure, but she appears to be doing mechanical jobs when we arrive.
She's covered in, like grease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she's doing something in the medical bay. I don't really know, but she came off as an engineer to me when we first met her because of the things she was talking about.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, she's medical. And then when she put herself to sleep before she put the pilot to sleep, I was just like, why are you doing that? Who's going to put him to sleep? He's just, as he says, a monkey who can flip a switch. You wouldn't trust that dude to put himself into stasis unless you were hoping he died, in which case you wouldn't have a pilot, which would be dumb.
Very dumb. But yeah, they all go to sleep, and the monkey who can flip a switch, as Matt LeBlanc calls himself, flips a switch, and oh, what is the ship gonna do? It's gonna slingshot itself around the sun and apparently just go straight towards.
It slingshots itself around the Earth, right?
No, it's got to be the sun.
Then goes towards the
Or
sun.
maybe it's that. Maybe it's around the Earth and go towards.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
But they don't even get that far because apparently 16 hours later, they're not traveling very fast. The robot wakes up with new objectives to destroy the Robinson family. Which he wakes up and then proceeds to use his laser guns because you gave a construction robot laser gun
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
to just wreck
Makes sense.
everything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He goes around and starts smashing things up. Dr. Smith at this point has woken up and gone, oh, this was a shit idea because I'm still on the fucking thing. And he's like, oh no, what do I do? Quick, wake the Robinsons up because else I'm going to die. So he wakes everyone up who he can, and we find that, oh no, Gigi's stuck inside her pod. And the robot just goes on a bender, just destroys
Oh, yeah,
as much as it can.
everything
That robot
up.
wrecks things.
Yeah, start smashing the cryopods, start smashing various pieces of instruments. And I don't really remember who it is. It might be Matt LeBlanc because why wouldn't it be? Ends up just saying, no, it's not him. So
It's not.
they have a big fight where Matt LeBlanc jumps on the back of the robot and starts trying to pull wires out and doesn't do very good. At this point, the Robinsons are woken up and everyone's running around like headless chickens, like, oh no, I fell over and over. And Will, the kid, because he is a fucking hero in this show,
Mhm.
disappears out of sight. And just as we think, oh no, the robot is finally going to kill the women.
Yep.
Thank you. The mother and Penny. Penny, the mother and Penny. Just as the robot looks like it's about to move in and kill them, suddenly the robot stops moving and obeys Will's commands because Will is a robotics expert and fucking has this shit nailed down.
Yes, he's hacked it with his weird handheld device, which, by the way, is really just this movie's. It's like the thing from Home Alone that Macaulay Culkin has in Home Alone. The little.
It looks like a Game Gear.
No, it does, but it's basically that thing is this movie's version of the whatever the fucking thing that Macaulay Culkin has.
Macaulay Culkin.
It's that because I guarantee what they thought was we'll make these and we'll sell them and you can play little games on them.
Yeah, no.
Oh boy, there were so many like future selling gizmos in
there
this.
were so many.
Oh
It was
boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So yeah, the women are saved. Hurrah! And Will is the hero. But they find out, oh crap, we're about to crash into the sun. We can't get out of its gravity grip. What the fuck are we gonna
Yeah,
do?
it's a real problem. You gotta
Yeah,
not
Yep.
go into the
So
sun.
they're crashing into the sun. Their engines don't work. Judy is dead for all intents and purposes. And in the background, while Professor Robinson and Matt LeBlanc are trying to get enough power to the engines to get away from the sun, Smith, Maureen, and Penny are freeing Judy and taking her to medical bay, where they're trying to restart her heart for I don't know, I guess kind of a tense scene for a minute. Because Gary Oldman
it's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. And then it was the greatest fucking cinematic shot of all time where everything went slow-mo.
Oh, yeah. Because, yes. So the reason why it goes slow-mo.
And everyone was jumping for some reason.
So it goes slow-mo because Matt LeBlanc has the idea that if we can't escape the gravitational pull with our engines, we'll use the hyperdrive and just punch through the sun. Not sure that's how that would work, but fine.
Nope.
I didn't make the hyperdrive. It's a hyperdrive in a movie. Fine, whatever. So which by the way, the hyperdrive activation, I want to talk about that for a second. It requires somebody to get in a chair and go about 30 feet up, and somebody else to be on the ground. They both have keys that they have to turn simultaneously. As if this is the self-destruct sequence for the Jupiter. Instead, it is the hyperdrive, which should really just be, I pushed one button.
Boop. Yeah, the pilot should just be able to go, I need to activate hyperdrive.
But you have like a little like cover on top of it that you got to flip up, but it's just like flip, push.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
Something.
But there's no need for the over dramaticness of which they had to like engage this hyperdrive. It was so over the top.
It was something. So they punch through the sun, and as that hyperdrive activates, everyone's leaping for some reason, including Judy, who up to this moment was dead on a table. And she's
so we have like Matt LeBlanc. I don't know why he was leaping.
No, Matt LeBlanc was the only one not leaping because he was in that.
Oh, he was in the chair.
Very obviously stolen from the set of Lex chair.
Yeah. So we see the dad and we see Will jumping toward each other for whatever reason, and then we see back in the medical bay we see Judy. I think being catapulted from the bed. I think is the best description of
Yeah,
what
she's
it
like
was.
being like thrown forward
Yeah.
somewhere.
And
She's
then-
probably gonna hit a wall and die anyway. But
And then everyone else is jumping around her in that room as well. Like,
Leaping.
holy
Yeah.
crap! What the fuck?
It's like a siren went off and it's like, please leap in the air.
But it was incredible. It was just so over the top, so Matrix styly, and utterly pointless.
Probably the best use of CGI, I think.
Apart from the thing in
Probably.
the eye.
Apart from that, yeah.
Yeah,
And
apart from
I'll
that.
say it because like
Yeah.
it's clear like they froze this image and then like they
Ran a couple of cameras around.
yeah.
It's fine. It's probably one of the few good uses of CG in this movie.
Yeah,
But
unwarranted, but good.
things get worse from there, everybody, because they come out of hyperspace near a planet
Oh,
and they don't know where
Dun,
they're
dun,
at
dun.
because
Yeah, like
they are.
are they without GPS in a void?
No, they are lost in space.
Oh,
Oh my god, that reminds me. Earlier on in the movie, the dad says there's a lot of space out there to get lost in.
he does. He
And I was
does.
like,
God
damn
damn
you,
Come on.
you guys were
Come on,
close
guys.
enough to saying the name of the movie. I just kind of wish you would.
So yeah, that was they found a planet, but then they also find the big old ship.
Yeah, they find a big ship,
That's
big
what the
like
ship found. Yeah.
derelict ship. They're like, oh my god, what's this? Ooh, what's that? Which they then find.
and they're like, oh shit, there's no life signs. And I think my immediate response was, well, duh, the ship's fucking broken.
It's definitely broken. Like
Well-
it's not. It's
is.
rusted and things are
I
broken.
see no
on
life signs.
it.
There's like holes in the fucking side of the ship. I see no life signs. Yeah, I wonder why.
But they fly near it with Matt LeBlanc doing some nifty piloting. It's real bad.
It's almost as good as listing lazily to the left.
Yes.
It was that style of nifty flying.
But they
So-
see some letters on the name on this big ship, and it's the Proteus or the Protos.
Yes.
I don't know. It
Proteus.
sounds like they want to call it the
it's-
Prometheus, and then just like
That's what I thought it was
Wouldn't
called, and
commit.
then you guys corrected me. I'm like, okay, I won't bring that up.
Proteus.
no, because
like-
it does sound like you calling it Prometheus makes sense because it sounds like they wanted to call it that, but just wouldn't commit to calling it that because it wasn't spacey enough.
Oh Jesus! Oh jeez. So yeah, they do a flyby this ship, and they're like, "Oh shit, this is ours!" And they get really happy and excited, like, "Yay! Woo! It's one of our ships!" Without going, "Woo! One of our ships has been clearly destroyed." And they do like
Yeah.
a proper flyover, and they find there's another ship, like within the debris field or within the remains of this ship, and they're like, "We better go check this shit out."
Yep.
And that one's an
Oh
alien
no,
ship.
hold on. There's two other things. One, nobody looking at the broken Proteus ship is like, what is this doing here? Because they're also supposed to be like the first deep space ship ever.
True.
Yep.
They're not like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to point out. Someone actually did notice where they were, and he knew from the moment they turned up, because when they were standing there and they saw the Proteus ship there, and after about half a second of Dr. Smith staring out the window at the planet and back to the ship, he went, Dorothy, back in Kansas. He picked it up straight away, and that's what ticked me off to being that they're back on Earth.
Yeah.
Way back then.
Yeah. So yeah, they see this ship and it's all fucked up. They fly near it. They fly over it. They see the other ship, and this is my favorite part. They just look at it for a second, and Maureen just goes, "That's not human." Like that is a
Duh.
big leap in logic, Maureen. Just you don't know anything about it. You're just like, no human would build a ship that looks like that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
There are certainly no weirdos on planet Earth.
No, not at
No.
all.
No, not at all. So they decide to go on board this ship, right?
Yeah, because why wouldn't
And why wouldn't they? So they all get suited and booted, and they take the robot with them, which Will at this point explains is basically just on like remote control mode.
you? Yep, he's
Yeah.
just driving
So-
around with his little hand
Yeah,
thing.
He uses his little things, and he has a little like thing. So if he talks, he will talk through the robot, which is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
So they do that, and they go on board. I think the women, apart from Judy, get left behind.
Let me think. It's
Yep. Yeah, the two younger children
Penny
and Maureen get
Penny
left
and Will
behind.
get left behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the two children and Maureen get left behind, and everyone else goes on board to check it out. And they walk
So yeah,
around.
not only that, they revive.
Hold on, you can't miss Dr. Smith's greatest line in the entirety of this movie.
That's true.
I do apologize. Go forth.
They break the airlock open, and they're like, "Oh, the air is breathable, cool." And they take their helmets off, and they're like, "Oh, it smells dusty and stale."
The air is stale.
And then Dr. Smith's like, "That's the smell of ghosts." Just fucking deadpan staring ahead. Just like, "That's the smell of ghosts."
That's the smell of ghosts.
And I'm like,
He has
no one reacts
so many-
to it. No one.
so many good lines in this.
No one's
so
like,
he delivers,
"The fuck does that mean, Smith?"
he delivers this line as they continue walking along, and they hear this like random dripping sound.
Yep.
And he basically, they're like, "What the hell is that?" I was like, "Oh, that's the sound of dripping blood." I'm like,
Drip blood.
Dripping
like-
blood.
"Like that's
the fuck are you
such a
doing?
leap in logic. It's such a leap."
Oh.
They go and like look at it and smell it as something, and then the comment comes up. It's like, "Oh, like yeah, clearly something bad happened there." And then the comment comes up from him is like, "Well, evil knows evil." I'm like,
Right. Oh, good.
oh man, like it was literally, this was the point I think we went, he's just doing a series of one-liners, because
Yeah,
it was
he is.
literally in this ship, he was just like one-liner, one-liner, one-liner,
it.
one-liner.
And because it's the 90s movie, nobody reacts appropriately to it. They let him babble his one-liners, and at most they're just like, "What do you mean, Dr. Smith?" No one's like, "The fuck are you going on about? Like, shut the fuck up."
At a few points in this movie, I think people do tell him or tell various people to shut up.
But they only tell Dr. Smith shut up because he's annoying, not because he's saying weird shit. They're just like, "Shut up, Dr. Smith. You don't know anything about anything." Like, okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
clearly he does. He sabotaged your robot.
He 100% sabotaged that robot.
So yeah, then they go exploring through the ship, and then they end up finding, I guess it was the captain's bay.
They just
After so
they
long
find
amount of time,
something. Who the fuck knows?
yeah, they find
what
something,
it
and then they like end up looking at like a feed.
Yeah.
As what's his name from the beginning on it.
The degraded captain's log.
Yeah.
Which again,
And it's
first deep
Jeb.
space exploration ship is the one the Robinsons are on. The dad sits down and goes, "I'll look at the captain's log." What? Why would you assume that's there? You're the first.
And how would he have access to that?
Yes.
What codes would he have access? He would never have clearance for this shit.
Well, he just
like,
he just tried the Earth codes. Standard Earth codes.
oh yeah, because he'd have standard Earth codes to break into this shit. Come on.
Password. Password is password.
I mean,
Oh, it's ABC 1 2 3.
it's
Yeah. Goldfish. So he manages to like get in there, and we see that it's I didn't really pick up so much what was going in there, apart from Jeb was there saying he's going to go and fight. They'd lost contact with Jupiter 2 completely, and he wasn't going to give up on his friends Matt LeBlanc, because Matt LeBlanc would never give up on him.
exactly.
And it's like, aww. And I think that was it.
Pretty much because at that point they start sensing. Oh, they sense movement in the ship.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And they see a shadow. And in my favorite thing, they chase the shadow on this derelict ship.
Of course.
They just halt. They're like, "Ooh, what's that?" And they run after it.
Yeah.
Could be a monster. Could be a psycho killer. Could be anything. They chase it through an unknown ship, possibly into a trap.
Yep.
And lo and behold,
It's not.
it's not.
The worst fucking thing imaginable. Part 1.
I kind of let me find a picture of
Oh.
it, because I feel like everyone on the chat needs to see it. But imagine a yellow monkey that looks like it's oh man. Imagine the worst video game from the 90s that has weird little
It
aliens.
looks like a creature from Spyro. It looks like a creature from Spyro the Dragon with huge fucking eyes.
Yeah. It's a mixture between that and like a Furby with like the stupidly big eyes they're not supposed to have. It's some sort of bizarre hairless yellow monkey, which can change colors, but that's neither here nor there.
There you go. Let me just zoom in on this picture for everybody. And there you go.
There we go. Yeah, I didn't want to fucking see that again.
Yep.
It
It
moves
has
around a lot.
giant. It looks like
There we
E.T.'s
go. Now
younger
I can.
cousin with giant orange eyes instead.
Not want to fucking see that thing again.
No, that was
it moves
unpleasant.
around a lot. It makes dumb noises. At some point, it starts mimicking Penny.
Yeah, Lord. So we then gain this adorable inverted commas creature from an arboretum, which looks like, according to Penny, it has to have taken like years and years to get to this state.
It wasn't Penny.
There's
Who
nowhere
who
this
was
is.
It was it Penny?
Yeah, Penny.
Okay.
Because I was like, how would she know she's a doctor? Oh wait, life. Yeah, they just like tenuously link the two.
Oh no, that's that would be Maureen, because Penny is computer. Oh, what the fuck they call her job? Because they all have a job. Will is robotics, Maureen is life sciences. The dad is just dad.
Mission control, I think.
guess.
Commander.
Matt LeBlanc is pilot. Judy is mission medical, and Penny is
Visual engineering.
something like that. It's some weird.
Basically, she says, I'm in charge of media studies.
Yes, I know how to use a TV real good. Okay,
Yeah, like I'm so good at this.
I can set the clock on the VCR.
Yeah, I know how to do this shit, man. I can get it from one input to the other in a blink. Yeah, so that shit goes down. And they end up gaining this little creature, and they're like, all right, we better head back to the ship. And then we have some very interesting creatures aboard the ship.
Oh no, spider attack.
Oh my god, they're fucking terrifying.
Spiders that have weird mouths and are apparently in the first scene they appear in, immune to lasers. And that immediately goes away because they start shooting with lasers and they die. So
yeah,
I think it was just too weak of a laser, so they needed the big old fucking robot cannon lasers. Which again, why the fuck does the mechanical like maintenance fucking robot have these big ass laser cannons?
It's a good question, because the robot, his whole point is to maintain the ship while everyone is asleep on it. Why does he have weapons? Why does he have weapons?
maybe they're supposed to be clearing debris. I don't know what kind of debris you get on a ship which nobody's moving around inside require those level of guns.
Listen,
but I'm not really
those are
sure.
Really big dust bunnies.
Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. They could mutate in space. Woo!
Then they find these big old fucking spider creatures that start hatching out of these like the goop that they saw before. They all start running down, and then they chase them into this room, and they try and like lock themselves in so they can't come into the room.
They
and
said
like
spider the second time. Thank you, Undead Fan.
So then they smack the door thing, and then the door rises up, and then you can see boom, 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 boom as they're all trying to make their way in.
And we get to see probably one of the few interesting things, which Matt LeBlanc turns into the guy from Dead Space.
Oh my god, yeah.
Also, before this, Will does this really cool thing where he like jumps into like a holographic robot suit because he's like, oh, the controller's too slow. I have to go into like full operation mode, and he hops into like this hologram of the robot and starts like blasting them like he's like in a VR game.
Yeah, they give him like little like overlays over his arm and his chest and his head and his legs. Like a 10-year-old boy, to be fair, me, Valonda, a 10-year-old girl, would absolutely have done that from the start.
Hell yeah.
100%.
There's no way I'd use a remote control if I could pretend to be inside a freaking robot that shoots freaking laser beams. There is no way I would not be doing that from the start. But it did look cool and it made for a nice moment.
It
And
did.
yeah, he's there kicking the shit out of stuff and like punching and kicking and shooting with lasers. And then Matt LeBlanc turns into the dude from Dead Space, you're right.
That's exactly what that outfit is.
Isaac Clarke.
Like he's got this like thing around his neck that turns into a helmet with just two eyes, and he's got a gun that shoots. I mean, it looks like the plasma cutter from Dead Space.
It kind of does,
shoots
yeah.
like that kind of like beam, and it kills the spiders, while the others try to open the airlock back into the Jupiter. Spoiler alert, they succeed and get back on the Jupiter.
But I think they leave the robot behind. The robot gets
left behind because it's the only thing blocking the doorway from the spiders. One of them spiders gets by because as they close the airlock, it reaches through this weird spider finger, just like, what's up? And it scratches Dr. Smith.
Oh, no.
Which then no one ever addresses again. Not again. They address it, but like no one's like, hey, let me look at that, or...
It's because no one gives a shit about Smith.
I assume that's what it is. It's just like, well, no one cares what happens to Dr. Smith.
Yeah. So,
fine. Being
scratched, they are without robots, and then Will downloads the robot's mind onto a CD. Yes, a CD.
The far future has CDs. And then, that's the other good thing. Matt LeBlanc, they start to pull away when the spiders leap off the ship and come through space at them. And start shooting lasers out of their mouths to breach the hull. Yep. And then they're like, oh, they're attracted to heat and light. So he starts up the engines on the Protus. So they all go to that. And then he detonates it. Which is like... Okay, that's a little rude.
As he turns around and says, because this is when we have the big like macho testosterone dick fight,
Yep.
where we have the mission commander, Professor
Robinson,
Matt LeBlanc, just standing there like, you're only given an honorary title because you're supposed to be in charge of this, but you're not supposed to be in charge in combat. And the other dude's like, yeah, you're only in charge of combat because you're a moron. And they have this big like bitch fight amongst them about who's in charge and who isn't. And then Maureen just like steps down and does the lamest mum voice of put your dicks away and just get on with it. Otherwise, I will become in charge. And they're like, okay, mom. It's like, she's supposed to clearly have the power, but she just doesn't. There's no real mum voice in there of like, behave yourselves. What are you doing? There's nothing there, but they just seem to bow to her whim, and they form a tentative truce once this shit goes down. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah. Because the explosion of the Proteus knocks the ship back down onto this strange planet. Spoiler again, guys, it's Earth in the far future when it's all dead.
Yep.
Planet of the Apes.
They travel through time.
But it crashes on the ground, or it crashes in this big meteor. And then, I don't know, they struggle to stay alive for the night. And I don't want to talk about the scene. Okay, we have to talk about the scene with Don and Judy where they, I guess you could call that for a minute.
Yeah, so they have like the most. I mean, this is Matt LeBlanc. Matt. I'll use his real name here because in Joey he was amazing. Like Matt LeBlanc is Joey, right? He is that charismatic. Like, how you doing? Like, yeah, you can get behind that. You would understand that. It's as if he's forgotten those skills. Like, he's forgotten how to flirt. Like, you played this guy who is clearly supposed to be some sort of bizarre sex icon, and you've forgotten all of these moves, and he just absolutely blows it with her. He just doesn't do any of these lines with any real conviction, and she doesn't deliver any of the retorts with any real conviction either. But it ends up being that she pours a glass of water over his head and tells him, I think, to go fuck himself in some politer terms.
Yeah, pretty much. That's more or less what she
Play with his own joystick, I think was the phrase.
Yeah, I think that's what. Hold on to your joystick or something along those lines of basically go jerk off.
Yeah.
Fucking weirdo.
I mean, his whole bint was like, your place and mine because we're the last eligible male and female on this ship. Yeah. And she was like, no, self-respect, and leaves.
And leaves.
Yep.
So the next... that's the only thing I want to talk about because the rest of it's just terrible.
Garbage.
Yeah,
everything
it's
else in here is garbage.
It's pretty trash garbage. And then
there's a scene where Maureen enables the dad's terrible behavior. Like, that's the only other noteworthy thing. Because Maureen's like, you need to spend time with Will because Will has to come first or whatever. And then he's just like, no, the mission. And she's like, I guess so.
It was, because like a running thing through this is that that Professor Robinson doesn't spend enough time with his kid's son, with his son, Will. And they're like, oh no, it's really sad and unhappy and your son will think you don't care, yada, yada, yada. And then she's like, okay, the mission, yeah, fair enough. And then she rewards him with sex.
Yeah, it's
because
terrible.
On this ship, they have doors.
Yeah. They have doors. So the next day they find out that there is enough radioactive material nearby they could get the ship back into orbit.
Yep.
Yes.
What they don't know is that the radioactive material they sense is on the crashed Jupiter 2 from the future.
Oh.
So they see this weird bubble when they get up in the morning, and I do have to say this. Like, I think it goes to show, this part of the movie goes to show that when you have a good night's sleep, that things seem better, because when everybody wakes up, they have a plan of action, they seem confident, they are no longer pissed off and scared. It literally is like a literal switch of, hey, I've had a good 8 hours. We've got this, boys.
I got my sleep. I got my coffee. I'm good to go.
Here we go.
It's a very different change from that. Just like before going to bed, everyone tense and unhappy to, we've all got plans. We got this.
Yeah. It's like, oh, what's that? It's a big time bubble. It's a big bubble in space. Probably time. That's cool. We can handle that.
Yeah. Let's go. It's like the bubble I theorized would be there when I make a time machine.
Yeah, that's something I want to talk about, because Will says that it's just like the bubble he theorized if the time machine was ever used, and his dad's like, no, this could only be natural, Will. You're a dumb little 11-year-old boy. Ha 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 ha. To which Will responds like, hey, fuck off, Dad.
Yeah, actually, rightly so, I think. But I was like, I had like two minds watching that scene when Will tells his dad, this is the bubble, and his dad's like, don't be dumb, and then the kid's like, go screw yourself, I know what I'm talking about. Like, I feel for Will, because like, oh, he's clearly right in this.
Oh, yeah.
But put yourself in the shoes of the dad. He's a 10-year-old kid. who's theorizing about a time
No,
machine.
that's
You just
fair,
think,
but
come on, kid.
his dad knows that Will is supposed to be. Will in this is literally a super genius. Like he
Yeah,
wins
he's
first
like
place in science fairs every time. He can hack a robot in like 30 seconds. Like, and this is like a robot that's meant to be, it's like military
Top
grade
notch.
basically.
Yeah.
He can do all this stuff. He's clearly like a fucking actual genius, and his dad's just like, no, like your son is talking about wins a science fair every year building time machines that clearly don't function because he doesn't have enough power to actually make one work. And the judges look at it and go, yes, this all makes sense. First prize. Your son is a fucking genius. Just listen to him.
Yeah, you should probably take some time and listen.
Yeah, but of course, if you haven't listened to your son, you would just assume your son is insane. And
Which
if we
Will
heard,
very well could be insane.
As much as I mean, I have kids. I don't know if this is true. But as much as you look at your kids and go, "Oh, they're the greatest thing ever," you still got to think he's talking about time machines. Come on.
That's true.
But he should at least give Will the benefit of the doubt. He should at least listen to him. But he's a terrible father.
I think what it really is that if he sat down to talk to Will about time machines, Will would talk about time machines and it would just go so far over his head, he'd be like, no. Because while the dad is smart, he's clearly not as smart as any of his children.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
anyway, so then they go into the bubble.
Hold on, who goes in the bubble?
Huh?
Who goes in the bubble?
It was the
bubble.
dad and Matt
Dawn.
LeBlanc.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
wanted everyone to know it's not the whole group, it's just these two.
No, just the two of them.
Yep. The only pilot and the mission commander.
Yeah.
Sorry, Drew.
Because the family's going to stay behind to fix the Jupiter!
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. So the two dudes go in there and they find that inside this so we have to say, like, outside the bubble, it's cold, there's like mountains everywhere, it's clearly very barren. They pass into the bubble, which is like a double bubble effect. They go through one bubble and then they go through another. It looks like someone, I don't know, I don't really know how to explain it really, how it looks like when they pass into this, but it was definitely
Kind of looks like whatchamacallit from Doctor Strange when like they're going through the fucking mirror realm or mirrorverse kind of
like
thing, where it's like a crackly like glass.
Yeah, a
And
bit
they
like a
kind of like
crystal.
smash through. Yeah, it's like a crystal, and they like walk through it, and it's all like.
Yeah. No, that's probably as close as to whatever the hell this effect was.
Yeah.
It was not a good effect. I'm going to throw that out there. It was pretty bad. But they go through this kind of almost like a double bubble phase that they pass through one shell. They seem to be like the in between and then pass through to the inside.
Yep.
And the inside of this is dark.
Mirror
It's
dimension.
dreary,
Hey, Josh is
and
watching.
it's
Mirror
hey.
dimension. There it is. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, dude. And the inside is like dreary and dark and dank, and it's a bit like I get that like swampy feeling from it. And there's clearly like plant life growing here. And they just like blase their way through it, like, well, it's in that
Well,
direction.
that's because they didn't bring life sciences with them, who would immediately go, "Why are there plants in here?"
Yeah, the person who would probably be useful in this situation.
No, they instead
not
bring
only
the two
fucking
most
pilot.
critical people on the mission.
Oh no, the commander can go because let's be honest, Professor Robertson is it's fucking useless.
He's pretty useless.
Yeah.
But you could have sent Maureen in. That would have been a far wiser option. Anyway, they didn't because dramatic
No.
effect.
So-
They send the two vaguely used people in, and they go forward. And I think at this point they find the remains of the
They
ship.
find a panel that I think one of them brushes off, and it's like, "Oh, this is so old. It's got rust on it." And
That's it, yeah.
while they're complaining about it, Matt LeBlanc gets shot in the back.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And then the dad shoots a gun. Because, by the way, they have guns in this. I don't know if we haven't talked about that yet. They
Yeah, they have guns.
voice-activated guns.
Oh my
Stop
gosh,
it.
these
Every
guns.
future movie, everyone who writes sci-fi, stop giving people voice-activated guns. The only time it ever made sense is Judge Dredd, and Judge Dredd is a terrible comic from the 80s. Like, it's the
Oh
only
boy, are we
one...
watching that movie?
We're definitely going to watch Dredd and Judge Dredd and compare them.
I've never watched either of them.
We're dragging Bucky back for this.
It'll
Anyway,
be a true marathon.
it's the only time voice-activated guns have ever made sense because Dredd and Judge Dredd is fucking... It's terrible, but it's like kind of campy stupid.
Yeah.
In this, it's like someone looked at a gun and went, "What's the best way to make this very ineffective? Make
Put a
sure a
microphone
person
on.
has to talk to it to make it work." And it's like,
It's like one step away from like voice activated firing, like pew. It just shoots.
it's terrible.
Someone should put out that fire. Oh,
Oh no, my leg.
I shot myself in the foot.
As Undead Band says, gun to a shoot, please. You gotta be polite.
Excuse me, Gun. I would
Gun,
like to
go
perform
pew
a murder.
pew.
You have to be polite. I'm sorry to bother you, Gun. Can you please fire over there?
I want to do a murder, please. Want to do a murder?
What a murder.
It's
One murder,
terrible, but there's a brief fight where the dad fires at his unseen assailant, and then eventually the robot, well, a rebuilt robot, comes strolling out of the mist and shoots the dad anyway, because, let's just move on.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're like, well, let's get rid of this scene. Shoop,
Cool.
and off we go. And then we cut back to
Jupiter.
the Jupiter, right? And I think we cut to Will specifically, because Will, I believe, is building the robot.
Yes, he's rebuilding the robot.
He's rebuilding the robot with like the flattened goldfish bowl.
Yeah, the big flattened goldfish bowl that has 3 spinning lights in it. Looks very reminiscent of the original series.
Okay, fair enough. So they have this spinny light thing around going in, and he's talking to the robot, and he's like, "Why did you save my personality? I tried to kill you. Why are there things missing?" And Will's like, "I put some of my personality into you." And they talk about the concept of friends
And baseball.
and baseball, and it's interesting. And I think at this point I was like, "Holy shit! The best actor is this robot."
It really is. Also, I refuse to call this robot Spencer for one important
no,
reason.
it can't be called Spencer.
Spencer had that silent attitude of just like, I'm here, you're all gonna, like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, it's cool, I'm the most badass thing in this entire planet.
Yes.
This robot will not shut the fuck up. Like, at all. It's...
So, what's like, I know there's Chatty Cathy, what's the male equivalent?
I'm gonna call him Jerry.
You're gonna call him Jerry.
Yeah,
hold on.
because it makes me think of that one skit from what was it? Derek Comedy, where he was like, "My name." Oh wait, is it Jerry? My name's Jerry. I like to skateboard. That whole thing.
I like to skateboard.
Yeah.
Man, see, the male equivalent of a Chatty Cathy, there's got to be one. Does anyone know one off the top of their head? Because I'm gonna turn to the Google.
Talkative Tom.
I mean, sure, let's
Tom.
go with it. I'm still gonna Google it because I have to.
Sure, Tom.
All right.
Tom works.
Tom works. Okay, so we have Tom / Jerry, robot,
Terry.
Terry.
There we go.
Okay,
Terry.
We'll call him Terry.
that's perfect. We'll call him
No,
Terry.
it's gotta be Tom.
So,
Because Terry's too close to Terry Crews, who I actually like. I refuse to drag Terry Crews.
I think
Hey, the robot was the best actor in the show.
2 versus 1 on this. I think it should be called Terry.
I think it's gonna be
Hey,
Terry.
we have viewers.
I
We
like
can ask the viewer.
All right. Viewers, you have like until I read,
Hey,
which won't be for the rest.
I don't know how to set it up, but let's pretend this is a poll in the chat. Vote Tom or Terry.
Tom or Terry, but I'm going to call him
We're just
Terry.
gonna keep going
And
until we
then-
vote.
Yeah. So Terry honestly is the best actor in this because like the voice acting is up there. It's good. You can hear emotion in it, which you don't really hear from the rest of this crew. And I will definitely give you my thoughts on the acting at the end of this because holy crap. Like he gives genuine acting on this. He is actually funny.
Oh, we missed the part where. Oh no, this is the part. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. Keep
And
going.
he delivers the joke, right? At this one.
Yeah, he tells the terrible joke about. Let me do it.
Why did
the robot cross the road?
I don't know. Why did the robot cross the road?
Because it was carbon bonded to the chicken. It's the whole joke.
Ironically funny. I just thought it was hilarious. A vague nerdy joke in which the kid responds of, "Yeah, we need to work on that."
Like, this kid's so fucking funny.
Yeah. So the kid is working on the robot, who I generally think at this point is probably the best acting. And then we see Will go talk to Dr. Smith. No, we hear Morse
We
code.
get Morse code, which I'm pretty
Right.
sure he's banging out SOS. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what he's
Yeah.
actually banging out.
Yeah.
And
And
the robot identifies it as, because it is the only thing the robot is famous for saying, and it's pretty much the only reason anyone remembers this entire fucking series from the 60s. Danger, Will Robinson.
yes. And there's no way that the Morse code they've heard so far was that long.
No, I'm pretty sure
It takes
just,
a little time to tap out Morse code. That was not long enough.
pretty sure he was just tapping out SOS. And the robot was doing what a robot does, which is deliver, extrapolated data that it doesn't have any business telling you about.
Yeah.
So Will goes to investigate and he finds that Smith is banging some pipes. And this is where we have
Hey,
Gary Oldman,
hold
right?
on.
Yep.
He was behind closed doors when he was banging those pipes. It's his business what he does with those pipes. Okay.
Right.
Oh boy, clearly thinking about Spencer and not Terry.
Or I've just had way too much whiskey.
Oh, I'm moving on from that. So he goes up and speaks to Dr. Smith, and this is the only point in which we see some genuine acting between two people
Yes.
in this.
Well,
Genuinely good acting.
Will was a little iffy. I felt like he was doing a lot of listening but not hearing type thing, where
Yeah,
he would respond
but
real fast.
But that might be because the kid wasn't listening versus the actor not listening.
It could be.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's.
Because he is a kid.
I'm not gonna say it's terrible because he was still acting in those moments. I just felt like
Yeah.
Didn't he also have a gun?
he did have a gun,
Yeah.
a gun that he claims
Yeah.
can only shoot for him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Voice
Yeah,
activated
His
gun.
voice
That
activated
only-
gun will only shoot for him.
We gave the kid a gun.
Yes.
No one gave
They
Will
gave-
Robinson a gun. He picked one up.
It's like this kid, this 10-year-old kid has a gun specifically tuned for him. I was just like, who gives a 10-year-old child a gun? I don't care if he is the head of robotics. Also, he has a giant fucking robot.
The robot
Yeah.
is non-functional, and they're on a hostile
With
planet.
guns.
If
My God.
if he's
Yeah.
properly trained, sure, go for it. I guess.
I'm sorry. No.
Yes, I'm dead man, America.
Yeah.
America.
Oh, give this child
So
a
yeah,
gun.
then they argue for a while, and they end up going outside because they go into the bubble for some reason or another.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he basically convinces him that
If Dr. Smith convinces Will that what if his dad and Don are dying, they'll just die all alone, and then Will's like, but you're a doctor, you can help them. Let's go into the bubble.
oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was this amazing moment of like you could have done something to help them, and like Dr. Smith turns and stares at the camera, kind of just off to one, not directly
Yes.
like breaking fourth wall, but sort of just behind
I
the
am a
fourth wall.
doctor.
I am a doctor. Yes, I can help. Like his back is to the kid. He's clearly looking at the like
Oh wait,
not
no, he
the
doesn't say it
camera.
like that. Didn't he say it like a fucking? Didn't he say it like? Yeah.
Oh yes, he did. He was like, yes, I am a
He's
doctor.
like, you're a doctor.
He's literally stroking his beard and has the weirdest voice when he says it. Yes, Will, I'm a doctor.
that, ladies and gentlemen, was the end of the greatest acting scene.
Oh god,
It really was. That was the
That
last
was
line
like-
from Gary Oldman in that scene. Was the weirdest yes I've ever heard.
Oh, it was
Which-
incredible.
It cuts to, and this is my favorite scene because it cuts to the weirdest point. They're walking through, I don't know, fart flowers. These weird
Oh,
flowers
yeah,
that
yeah,
keep
yeah.
spitting up
Oh my
methane.
god. They just look like testicles upside down with holes in
They
them.
really do.
Yeah,
And they're
it's
walking.
horny.
What is
They're
this?
walking towards the bubble because they're gonna go in. They're gonna chase after the dad and Don, and then an earthquake happens and the bubble gets bigger, and they run away. And I'm like, why? Why are you running away? It's coming towards.
Trying to get in.
You're going
Yeah,
into
you're going
it.
in it.
Just stand there and let it come to you. They effectively they're like, let's go this way, walk 5 feet, and then run away because it comes at them.
No, I want it to be my choice. I don't want the planet to decide for me.
I don't want to go into the bubble when the planet wants me to go in the bubble. What's up, Brother Nathan? Welcome to I don't know. Drunk
Fucking
reviews.
bullshit. The goddamn.
We have to be honest. Me and Drew have had at least a bit of whiskey. So yeah, they like Dr. Robinson, because that's the girl. Dr. Smith and Will end up inside the bubble.
Yes, they do.
And we see Dr. Smith off to one side looking at something, and he seems to be wiping something away from a surface. And then Will's like, "What are you doing?" And Dr. Smith is like, "Oh, we better go find your family," and pushes him away. And then the camera pans out and backwards, and we see a grave marker that says Maureen. And then it goes to the right a little bit more, and then it says Penny. And then it goes a bit more, and then it says Judy. I'm like, oh my god, they've killed all the women.
They killed all the women.
Literally just killed. There's no dad marker on there. There's no Don marker. It's just the women. And I was just like,
To be
What?
fair, I think the only reason the dad and Don are not there is because in the future that is inside this bubble, the dad and Don went into the bubble and never came back.
Oh,
And
that's
they
right.
didn't
That's
have a
right.
body to bury. I think that's the only reason. It's still terrible. It's still stupid because they fridged all the women. Fuck right off.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think
I was
that's
like,
the
I don't
only
normally
reason.
have a problem with that, but I was just like killing off like people in the backstory to make them do things. Okay, fine. This shit happens. We're all role players. We've all had dead people in our family, right? I mean, it's just a staple. But it was all the women, and I'm like, guys, I don't normally have a problem with this. And then you were like, oh, but Alonso, it gets worse.
It does get worse because
Oh my god, did it?
Oh, as Dr. Smith pushes Will away, you hear the video diary that Penny takes, repeating a list you heard earlier about how
Yeah.
boys and kissing are the greatest thing in the world or something.
Yeah.
And how she's missing them.
Yeah, I don't remember everything she named. I remember she named Billy and kissing.
Yeah, Billy kissing a chocolate.
I think so. Yeah. So he pushes them away, and they head up, and they eventually find the crashed Jupiter, and Will's gonna run towards it, and Dr. Smith grabs him, and he's like, "No, don't go over there yet, because there's monsters around every corner, like, because I'm a monster, and I know what monsters do." And I mean, he has this big speech where he evils at him for a minute, and then Will does the dumb thing, which is he looks at his gun and goes, "Enable all users," and then gives his gun to Dr. Smith.
And here we return Will, the idiot child.
Yep. Dr. Smith promptly points it at Will's head, and Frog marches him into the crashed Jupiter.
Yep.
Oh boy! So we now hit the shitstorm. The pinnacle of this movie is inside the future version of the crashed Jupiter 2.
Which, by the way, I also want to point out, it does not cut back to Judy, Maureen, or Penny
at all
until the end.
At the very end, and even then, I don't think it's even worth cutting back to them because they do is so fucking little.
Yeah.
So we are now inside with Testosterone City, and we have the dudes in there, and they're all doing let's quickly explain what's going on. We see this dude with longish, blondish hair and a bit of a beard who looks a bit like his dad, and I thought maybe this is older version of Professor. Oh no, the dude reveals himself to be Will. It's future Will.
And what has Will built? What has future Will built?
And future Will has built a time machine.
Look at that.
Yeah, and it just so happens to be the day I think he's planning on jumping in through the time machine. Yep. Oh my god, what a coincidence.
Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah.
He built a time machine because in case you didn't get all the hints about how Will built a time machine in the beginning, and how Will wins science fair every year with the time machine, and how Will has theories about time machines. This is a time travel movie, everyone.
Oh god, yeah.
Yep.
It's just nope. Just a huge pile of nope for me. Anyway, so he builds a time machine and he opens an aperture and he talks about how the edge of it will just like vaporize anyone, and he's going to jump through it and he's going to go back and stop his family from getting on the original Jupiter, and everything will be fine. And then I think it's his dad who turns around and says, "That's dumb.
That's a crazy plan, son. You're insane."
That's utterly dumb. There are better things to use this time machine for. And the son is like, "Oh, so someone just pointed, really showed like the big plot hole in my plan." And he's like, "Oh no."
But it's okay because they don't focus on that. Because literally right at this moment, Dr. Smith and young Will come marching in, and Dr. Smith's like, "I'll kill the boy."
And they're like, "That's equally dumb." And then I think at this point the robot turns up. There's so much shit that happens. I don't remember the order. I think the robot turns up at this point with the future Dr. Smith, because the future Will, oh my god, too many tenses. Future Will says, clearly a boy can't survive here on his own for however many years it's been. And then we see Smith with the most interesting visual effects ever. It's incredible. It's like someone has got
Nightmare Fuel Part 2.
Yeah. It's like someone's got a black leather couch, but it's not actually leather. It's the fake leathery stuff. They've shined it and polished it so it has like an almost mirror effect on it. Yep. And they've stuck it over the face of Gary Oldman and pulled it too tight.
Yep.
It's horrifying. Why?
It's not good.
It's terrible CGI, and it looks... Just why?
You find out the reason why he looks like this is because he was scratched by that spider. And because he's a psychopath, spider DNA couldn't kill him. It instead turned him into a spider monster.
Spider monster.
Spider hybrid.
Everybody,
every
superhero in the 80s whose origin story was they got bit by something, they were clearly a psychopath. It's the only way you can survive it.
Yep, it's the only way you can survive.
Spider-Man, psychopath.
Yep.
So yeah, we get that, and Dr. Smith is like, "Robot, do this thing. Take them to the death hold or whatever, and I'll kill them later." And then he vamps around the room, and I'm only speeding up through this because we got like 20 minutes left. like before we have to get off.
Holy
so
shit.
Spider Smith, which is what I'm gonna call him, vamps around the room and talks to Will about how, oh yes, the poor women were so weak and the spiders
Oh my god!
ate them.
It was literally phrased like when we first met Will, and this was the thing because it was literally following the statement of "Oh, it gets worse, Melinda." Was Will saying, "I still remember the screams of the women."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh fuck
Yeah,
me!"
they started referring to them as the women at this point, like
They
totally just
do.
dehumanize them, just the women.
I was like, "What is this?"
So he vamps around the room. Dr. Smith. Oh, by the way, when Smith meets Smith, he throws human Smith out a hole and he falls to the rocks. So he's not important to the rest of this. The dad, Don, and Will are trapped by the robot. And then Will's like, but we're a robot. We're best friends. Remove your restraining bolt. Which the robot does.
Yes, he removes what looks like it was magnetically held on onto a fridge. It was like, it's this thing that's almost shaped a bit like a key. Let me grab it and pull it off. And he gets like the minorest amount of electrical interference, and that's it. The robot is happy to be friends with Will again.
Yep.
Woohoo! And yeah. Oh my god.
And then.
So.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, you go for it.
No, go, please. I was talking
for
for like 10
please.
minutes. Go.
Please. Bucky,
Yeah,
take
Bucky,
over.
Go.
So then they hold on. So then not Spider. So then the robot's all like activated now, and he's friends with Will, and then there's a big old fight in there.
Not yet, because they have to
Not
go
yet.
back. They have to get their way. They have to make their way back to, the room where the spider is, and the dad sends Dawn and Will back to the Jupiter.
Right.
So they, yes, that's all right. So Don and the boy and the robot go back towards the Jupiter. Yep. They pick up Dr. Smith, the current kind of partially unconscious Dr. Smith, and basically because they're decent human beings.
Yeah, but they literally have tried to kill him this entire movie.
The movie has tried to kill him. They've been trying to save him because they're decent. So basically, between all of them, those four basically leave the story, and that's all we need to hear about them for now. Yep. Back inside, we have Spider Smith, we have older Will, and we have Professor.
Oh, the Professor's not there yet, because Will, before the Professor gets there, Will, I don't know, puts two and two together and finds out that Spider Smith is going to be the one who jumps through the hole to kill everybody or something.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. Those spiders, because the explanation they gave for the women dying is that the spiders from outer space weren't all destroyed, which was Don's intention. Yep. That they weren't all destroyed and they came back and killed the women, and Dr. Smith then killed the spidery things.
Right.
And then older Will goes, oh, wait, that was a lie, wasn't it?
I'm an idiot.
Older Smith was like, so he shrinks down the size of the aperture, and then the Professor comes in, and I think there's a little bit more like, I don't know what's going on.
He vamps around a little more and finally takes off his cloak, so you get to see all of Spider-Smith.
The most nightmare fuel,
he's
like just fucking awful.
Imagine a snake.
Fucking bullshit.
Imagine a snake with Gary Oldman's face, and then you gave it legs and arms. But then at the elbows, you gave it another elbows and knees. You gave it another set of legs and arms. So it has a total of 8 hands, 4 feet, and just way too many limbs.
And the longest fucking neck.
Oh,
like
the longest
Nintendo neck. It's disgusting.
It's real bad.
And then he goes on to do evil man monologue of, hey, I got a bunch of these like baby egg things on me. I'm going to jump through that time machine portal back to October 1st, whenever the fuck it was. I'm going to jump back through to October 1st, and then I'm going to release the baby eggs, spiders everywhere, and we shall take over the planet. And older Will's like, that's not good. And then Professor turns up, and I believe he may have heard. I don't really know. I was just too blown away by the horrific effect that was this.
I was trying not to look at the screen.
He vamps around. Yeah. They kind of get into a weird debate, and then the Professor pulls out a spear made of a science fair prize and a stick.
Oh yeah, and he like nicks him.
And then he stabs the egg sack that Smith is carrying.
And he's like, do you remember how the other spiders ate their wounded companions? Because that happens way back on the ship when the robot is fighting them. Because I think Will notices that, hey, look, I've just like injured them, and they appear to be eating their wounded.
Yep.
And then the Dr. Smith is like, "Oh no, my plans have been thwarted," as he gets eaten by these like tiny white little spiders.
Stupid little spiders. And then the dad shoves him over the edge into the plasma ring around the time portal. I guess just to really
beautiful fucking aim, because he almost went through the fucking portal, but he like nailed it just on the edge.
Oh no, I would have
ruined it. He would get sucked into the fucking plasma spinny bullshit.
Yep. And then old Will tells because here's the worst part, where the dad saves old Will, who's also almost fallen into the plasma thing. They watch the Jupiter, because it cuts back for a second to see Don and Will and the robot show back up.
Yeah.
And they just
Jupiter
take off.
Shoots off.
And they're sitting there watching it. And wouldn't you know it explodes.
Yeah. They like, get like a little bit into space and then just goes and they're like, no, whatever will we do?
This is the problem I have. Instead of Will going, Dad, you know what? You should go back in time and stop this from ever like literally just go back to the Jupiter launch and just stop it, whatever, so we don't have the problems that we're having. Instead, I'll change the time machine location so it appears, so you just go back to the Jupiter like 30 seconds before it blows up. Yeah. That's a better plan. That's a really good plan I have. I will, the super genius, have.
Yep.
So he puts his dad in the doomed Jupiter, where they then have a 45-second conversation while Will's like, "Oh, the portal, it's gonna close."
Yeah.
Oh,
the answer they eventually go was like, "Should we go right?" And then he remembers, "Oh, when they went right, it exploded. No, let's go left."
No, they don't even go left. What do they?
They go down.
They go down.
They go down.
They drive.
This whole scene. This whole premise, this bit here is the biggest problem I have with this movie. One, they set this up like exploding, like ship to be like heartstringy and terrible, and I was instantly, that's time travel. It means nothing. That's why I hate time travel movies. It just literally means nothing. I'm not attached. I'm attached to the character. I like the premise. So I'm like, I don't want to see this premise explode because there's a premise here. And I see it explode, I'm like, well, I don't care because I know there's a time machine. It's going to get fixed. It's my one big problem with time travel movies because they always do this fucking bullshit. Yes. And they do the bullshit. I'm like, why? It's not needed. So they do that. There's an explosion. And then Will the older goes, Dad, go back 30 seconds in the past, go back on there and die with your family is what I'm feeling. And what they say is it only has power for one person for one trip. And I think at the time I turned to you guys and said, well, that's bullshit. What if the dude was really fat? Like, humongously. They could just hug each other and jump through the portal. I mean, come on, man. They're both, like, one of them is skinny and seriously malnourished. The other one is just skinny. Like, they could just hug and jump through the portal.
No, if they did that, they would have exploded all of time and space, Valanda.
I'm sorry.
No.
Why?
Because plot.
Because older Will would have been there with younger Will? No, they had younger Will there with older Will already.
Because plot. If two people had touched that portal, it just would have
I just got so annoyed. And they have like a good thoughty conversation while this thing is still open, and then it closes.
Then it closes, and they take off and realize they can't go anywhere. So the dad's like, dive through the planet as it breaks up. This is a terrible plan I have. And so they do so. They dive through the planet. They get out the other side. They're so excited to be in space where they don't know where they're at.
Yep.
Oh, that's not true, because when they were on the Proteus, they downloaded a bunch of star maps, so they know where they're at now.
Yeah.
I mean, they just would have found out they were at Earth, and then be like, what? They never get into that, though. But they get out, and then, wouldn't you know it, the gravity well of the planet turned into a black hole. Not how gravity works, not how planets work, not how explosions work.
Not how that works at all.
That's not enough. No.
The planet, by the way, explodes like a Final Fantasy villain, so it definitely wouldn't make a black hole.
Oh boy, no.
I think they end up warp driving through the black hole.
No, I think they just hyperdrive away.
Yeah, they just hyperdrive away.
Oh yeah.
They're fucked though, basically, because they're in the future where either humans have colonized a bunch of planets and they don't matter anymore, or they're in a future where humanity's pretty much dead. And they're just the last fucking 6 jackasses.
Yep.
So they hit hyperdrive, and that, thankfully, was the end of the movie. Oh,
and the greatest fucking end credit song of all time.
They have a bespoke end credit song.
Holy shit.
They have 2 bespoke end because they have
Right.
the credit sequence
You're
with
right.
just like the fucking acid trippiest. I've never been on acid, but this is what I
Oh
assume
my
it's like
God.
the most acid tripping, like flashing lights and like shitty graphical words appearing over things like Lost in
Quotes from
Space.
the movie and quotes from the 1960s show.
Like
In
there
the
needed
music.
to be an epilepsy warning because if any of us have
Did.
epilepsy, we'd be fucked.
Yeah, and like they had this like I don't know, it's like techno and dubstep mixed in with like random ass quotes and dance music
Yeah.
from the film.
It sounded like a song out of a Sonic video game. That's basically
Yeah.
what it sounded like. Out of Sonic
Yeah.
Adventure. I was playing Sonic Adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the movie, please skip to the last 10 minutes. You can see the shitty ending we're talking about, which is the entire build of this thing, and you get to watch the credits because holy fuck, it was incredible. And then when they ended that song, they then had another bespoke song, which was started like Lost in Space. That was the beginning of the
Yeah.
song,
Yeah.
but we just couldn't bring ourselves to watch it.
No,
But
we
we-
stopped that shit.
We have roughly 15 minutes. So
All right.
let's do our wonderful stuff. I'm going to start with our guest. Bucky, how would you rate this movie?
How would I rate this
Yeah, 1
movie?
to 5 bulbs.
Yeah.
How would you rate this movie?
1 to 5, but 1.
Okay, do you want to
Immediately.
give a reason or just one?
You fucking saw the movie.
It's not how reviewing works, Bucky.
We just talked about it for the last hour and a half. It was a fucking piece of garbage.
All right, fine.
All right, let's take this right. So we have visual effects. Go. Impressions on those.
The visual effects were god awful, except for the eye thing, which was actually pretty neat. Like the visual effects were just trash. I like everything gave me nightmares.
Yeah,
Like the monkey was like this
Oh my
weird
God.
slick sheen thing that made no sense, and then the weird spider creature that had the fucking long ass neck. Like it was just bad. It was just
Yeah.
awful.
It's like, even though it's a 1990s film, basically 2000s, 98,
Yeah.
it was bad even for then.
Yeah.
And you could see where they put blue screen and green screen in.
Yeah.
It was just appalling. It's just terrible FX. Right, okay. Score, music. How do we do that?
Music actually wasn't too bad. Except for like the last song, just that ending credit song was fucking phenomenal. But like the music itself wasn't
It's kind of
awful.
just whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Right, what
plot?
else have we got? Plot.
What was there one?
Full of holes.
I don't think we need
For the
more.
pause.
It was just one thing to the next to the next to the next the entire movie, and it was like this is just going nowhere.
Pretty much.
Sci-fi content.
I mean, it was in space. That's about it.
It was in space.
Had time travel.
It did have
It
time.
did have time travel. It had space. There was weird fucking ships and weird alien creatures. So I guess yeah, there was sci-fi stuff in it.
But do you think it was well explained?
No,
Did it make any sense?
no.
Did it even story make sense?
Everything was a callback. Every single plot element was a callback.
Yep.
Pretty much. Valanda, how would you rate this movie?
I'm gonna put it down there on the 1 as well.
One whole bulb?
And it only gets the 1 because of what I consider a self-contained acid trip at the end. Because everything else of this was just appalling.
All
It was
right.
just
Yeah.
terrible.
All right. Undead Band says in space, so 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 on the name, but the rest of it's
That's what's
garbage.
bad. I'm also gonna rate this a 1. It suffers from that 1990 like that 90s movie feel of, and also early 2000s movie feel of just. It's all bad. They're poorly put together. It's like everyone's coming off the coke of the 80s and they just don't know what they're doing anymore.
They're hungover.
Yeah, and they're just like, I don't
Yeah.
know, point a camera at that small, pretty white girl, I guess.
Yeah.
Girl, do a thing. Yay. I mean, they're just 90s and early 2000 movies are pretty much
They're
all
just-
trash.
Yeah. I mean, the acting in it was shoddy. It genuinely made me miss the acting on Lost in Space, the series.
100%.
It genuinely did. It has some really good big names in there. I mean, Gary Oldman's in there. Matt LeBlanc's in there. A bunch of other people are in there. Anyway,
when he was really relevant too.
yeah, he was relevant. Yeah, the acting in it was terrible, bar a few minor moments, and the dialogue. Holy shit!
Oh my
It
god.
wasn't just Dr. Smith; it was everyone. The dialogue was all over the place. It was poorly delivered, and there were so many like one-liners are supposed to be. Yeah, you could quote this, like yeah, but it means nothing.
No, it
Well,
means
I mean,
nothing.
I don't know about you, but I'm going to be quoting "That's the smell of ghosts" for the rest of my life at this point.
No, I'm just gonna answer anything that I have to say yes to. Just yes.
So there will be some quoting of this movie. Not, it'll be ironic and bad, but
Oh
it'll
yeah.
be quoted.
Oh my god, yeah,
Basically,
that was
everybody, if you sit down to watch this movie, it's bad. You've made a mistake.
Yeah. Expect it to be bad.
It's not even fun bad. It's just kind of bad. Like, there's not enough interesting stuff happening to make it, oh, this is kind of neat. The effects are kind of shitty. The plot's kind of all over the place. I mean, if you don't get it's a time travel movie by the end, you're just not paying attention because they might as well be hitting you in the head with a fucking wrench.
Yeah, like the hints and the twists, like it's actually on Earth. It's a time travel movie. The time travel was dropped right at the beginning, as soon as like the dad returned back to the house. And here's the thing with the times, like that's clearly going to be because it's time travel. Of course, it would be. And the fact that they come back and there's the Proteus ship, and that Dr. Smith like gave the obscure like Oz reference. I'm like, well, that's clearly freaking Earth. I've never seen this before. I have no concept what this film is or what the hell I was letting myself into. Thank you very much, Drew. That just dropped it so easy. And the fact
that's not gonna be the last time I say that, Melinda.
And they just basically wrote 3 characters out at the very end. They just like
we skipped over a lot of it, but it's a good 15 minutes where the 3 girls just vanish entirely. Yeah,
they're completely gone from the movie. They are either in it, they're either like, and when they're in it, they are very, very token. It's like, oh, we better give the line here. We better make it look like the mum has actually got the power in this relationship. She's clearly the person to bow to. Like, Penny is the over-emotional, like, emo kid, and the other one is, like, the doctor, and she does stuff occasionally, and it's the not love interest. It's like, they trash the women in this film. It's so bad. It's so poorly handled. Please don't watch this movie. This is a personal request. Do not watch this movie.
I will also say,
just watch the out credits.
I will say, don't watch this movie. You'll all be better people for not watching this movie. Valanda, real fast, because we do need to go. For those of you who are going to come back for Talking Initiative, it's going to be in 20 minutes. Well, maybe a little bit late. I have to get some air.
Oops, sorry.
But before we go, Valanda, do you want to announce what our next series is going to be?
Oh, next series, we are going to be watching Altered Carbon.
That's right.
Which I have vaguely watched some bits of.
I've seen it
over the shoulder.
I will happily review it because I enjoyed what I saw of it.
Yeah,
I'll watch it again and tell you about it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. We get to watch something that I've seen bits of it over the shoulder of my housemate who loved it. And the bits I've seen, I think that looks really fucking cool. I want to watch this series. Now I have a good reason to. But next week.
Next week, I will not be here, so we're not going to start Altered Carbon then. I believe Valanda has something special in mind.
Yes, I will be roping in someone yet to be determined, probably someone that I can arm wrestle and win, or tell them that they owe me a favor. And we will be either reviewing the entirety of Final Space, which is a cartoon sci-fi series on Netflix, and is honestly freaking hilarious. It's dry as fuck and I love it, and so dumb. Or Gravity Falls, because I also love that. But Gravity Falls, I think, is 2 series. So maybe I'll do series 1 with my guest and then series 2 next time you're MIA.
Sounds good.
It might be a backup plan.
Gravity Falls is so good.
So let's do our outro stuff. Valanda, you always go first, and then we'll do Bucky. So let's just keep.
All right. No, let's make our guest go first. Fine, go for it, Bucky.
Hi, I'm Bucky. You can find me on Twitter at Bucky_Masters.
Cool.
You can find me on Twitter at Blood_BTP. You can also find me on Monday's new release of The Lucky Die. And I think that actually may be it for this weekend. We're not doing a thing this weekend. That's it. We did.
And I've been Drew Tillman, and you can find me every Friday here, except for next Friday when I have to do a work thing. And every Thursday doing Moonlighter, and every other Wednesday doing Raft, and every other Monday doing Taking Initiative. I'm in a lot of things at this point, and they're all spread across calendars. I can't say things. Look at the links. Go to the links. You'll find stuff there. We love you. Thank you for coming out and watching this weird thing. We rambled on for quite a while. If you're coming back for Talking Initiative, I'll see you there. Otherwise, see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.